War is a profession, overwhelmingly dominated by men. The front lines are no place for women. At least that's what the world believed for centuries. But one woman defied those expectations. Not only did she serve on the front lines of some of the bloodiest battles in modern history, she became the most decorated female soldier of all time. Her name was Milunka Savić, and her story is the stuff of legend. Part folk hero, part fearless warrior, and all courage. Milunka was born sometime in the late 1880s in a small remote village in rural Serbia. The village was so isolated that no one is exactly sure when she was born. Some sources say 1888, others say 1890. What is certain is that she grew up in a quiet, traditional peasant life. There were no early signs that she would one day become a war hero. But history had other plans. In 1912, the First Balkan War erupted. A coalition of Balkan nations, Serbia, Greece, Bulgaria, and Montenegro, went to war with the crumbling Ottoman Empire to drive it out of Europe. The following year, that alliance shattered when Bulgaria attacked its former allies in a dispute over territory, triggering the Second Balkan War. As the region descended into chaos, Milunka's brother was called up to serve in the Serbian army. But he never went. Instead, Milunka cut her hair, donned men's clothes, and enlisted under his name. Why did she do it? Historians aren't entirely sure. Some say it was out of pure patriotism. Others suggest she was trying to protect her sickly brother, who may have had tuberculosis. Still others think she was simply tired of village life and longed for adventure. Whatever her reasons, Milunka wasn't just pretending to be a soldier, she became one. She was assigned to the Iron Regiment, one of Serbia's most elite fighting units. Though the First Balkan War was nearly over, the second came swiftly, and Milunka was thrust into battle. At the Battle of Bregalnica, the largest conflict of the war, Bulgarian troops launched wave after wave of attacks against Serbian lines. The Iron Regiment was at the center of the fighting. 9 times the Bulgarians charged. 9 times Milunka and her comrades repelled them. She fought fiercely, throwing grenades, storming trenches, and rallying her unit. Her skill and bravery earned her a promotion to corporal and several commendations. But on the 10th assault, a bullet struck her in the chest. At the field hospital, the doctors discovered her secret. "Well, just my luck," she reportedly joked. "The bullet went straight to the chest." When news of her true identity reached her commanding officer, he faced a dilemma. Women were strictly forbidden from combat roles. Military regulations said she had to be reassigned, perhaps to a nursing unit. But Milunka wasn't interested. She refused to take any position that didn't allow her to fight with a rifle in her hands. The officer told her he needed time to think it over. She stood at attention and said, "I'll wait here." An hour later, he returned with a decision. She wasn't going anywhere. In fact, she was being promoted to sergeant. 1 year later, the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand set the world on fire. World War I had begun, and Serbia was right at the center. Milunka saw action immediately. She fought in the Battle of Sir, the first Allied victory of the war. Then, in the Battle of Kolubara, she participated in one of the most astonishing counteroffensives in early World War I history. Facing a much larger Austro-Hungarian army, Serbian forces not only held the line, they drove the invaders back. During the battle, Milunka did something few soldiers ever attempt. She charged across no man's land with only her rifle and 2 belts of grenades. Alone, she stormed an enemy trench, captured 20 Austrians, and marched them back to Serbian lines. Then, she turned around, stormed a second trench, and began clearing it out, only stopping when an artillery shell exploded nearby, wounding her in the head. Even if some details of the story were embellished over time, no one questioned her valor. She was awarded the Order of the Karađorđe, Star with Swords, Serbia's highest military honor. Later, after capturing 23 Bulgarian soldiers in another battle, she received it again, a rare double decoration. As Serbia's army was pushed back and eventually merged with French forces, Milunka's legend continued to grow. But not everyone believed the hype. One French general, Maurice Sorel, was skeptical of this woman warrior. He decided to put her to the test. He placed a bottle of vintage 1880 cognac on a fence post 40 meters away. "If you can hit that," he said, "you can have the rest of the case." Milunka raised her rifle. One shot. the bottle shattered. Her regiment drank well that night, and no one doubted her again. Milunka fought alongside French and Serbian troops for the rest of the war. She was wounded 9 times, but none of her injuries kept her from returning to the front. By the war's end in 1918, she had earned 12 decorations for bravery, making her the most decorated female combatant in recorded history. Her honors included the Karađorđe Star with swords, twice, the Milos Obilic Medal for Bravery, the British Order of St. Michael, the Russian Cross of St. George, the French Legion of Honor, twice, the Croix de Guerre with Gold Palm. She was the only woman in World War I to receive it. Grateful for her service, France offered her a home and a pension if she would move to Paris. She refused. "I fought for Serbia," she said. "I will live in Serbia." Back home, Milunka tried to live a quiet life. She married a postal worker, had 1 daughter, and adopted 3 more children. But her husband left and she raised the children on her own. Despite her heroism, she struggled to find stable work. With no formal education, she took on jobs as a postal clerk, factory worker, and janitor, whatever it took to feed her family. When World War II came, Milunka again served her country, this time by running a field hospital. The Nazis weren't impressed, either for this or for refusing to attend a banquet with German officers. She was arrested and sent to a concentration camp. She was there 10 months, awaiting execution, until a German officer realized who she was. Rather than risk creating a Serbian martyr, they quietly released her. Despite everything she'd done for Serbia, Milunka was largely forgotten in the post-war years. The communist regime didn't celebrate monarchist-era heroes. Though she was eventually given a small pension and a modest apartment, she spent her final years cleaning floors in a bank. She died in 1973, aged around 85, from a stroke. At her funeral, only a handful of people remembered who she truly was. But history wasn't finished with her. In 2013, Milunka's remains were moved to Belgrade's Alley of the Greats, where Serbia honors its national heroes. Streets and schools have since been named in her honor, and she's become a symbol of courage, patriotism, and defiance. She had even attended Charles de Gaulle's presidential inauguration in January 1959, one of the most decorated veterans present. Milunka Savić never sought fame. She didn't fight for glory. She fought for her homeland and refused to stand down no matter the odds. A warrior, a survivor, a national hero, and perhaps the greatest female soldier the world has ever known. We upload all the videos that we have to censor from YouTube to our Patreon. Right now, you can watch uncensored videos on the Battle of Ognjen, medieval warfare, and the Sherman tank, all on Patreon. History is epic. Watch it uncensored.